Discipline is your only way to freedom. At first, it may sound like a huge statement, a bold statement, but I promise you it is the truth. At least I believe it is the truth. It all depends on how you view freedom, how you look at freedom, and what your definition of freedom is. But I would say, for the most part, a general good definition of freedom would be to live with nothing controlling you, to live completely and totally on your own terms, with no person, no emotion, no desire impacting any of the choices you make, any of the decisions you make, or what you do. That would be freedom to me. And I assume most other people would assume that that would be freedom for them as well. And so how do you get there? Through discipline. Having a strong sense of discipline, knowing what discipline is, having it ingrained into your brain, practicing discipline, and desiring to get better at it, all these things are your first step to freedom. Enacting discipline on anything that controls or sways you, anything that you finding yourself not being able to do. How can you call yourself free if you can't make it to the gym? You can't get yourself to go to the gym. How can you call yourself free if you're addicted to some substance, some drug, adult content online, as unfortunately most young men are nowadays? If you can't stop eating sugar or food that's bad for you, even though you want to, if you can't stop drinking, if you can't stop smoking, if you are unable to cut these things out of your life, how can you call yourself free? You're not free. You're a slave to whatever part of your brain or body desires that, reward you get from whatever you're doing. You're a slave to the impulses that push you towards, eating that food or giving in to that desire that you've been trying to get away from, trying to get rid of. If you can't wake up in the morning and go, I'm not going to do this today, and then actually get through the day without doing it, and then do that every single morning, then you may have to sit down and have some self-reflection and understand that if I cannot summon the discipline to conquer this, then I can never be free. You can never be free if the external factors of the world that are worrying you are bogging you down and pulling you this way, pulling you that way, pulling your mood all over the place. You can't be free if these things are pulling you everywhere that you don't want to be. It's up to you to summon the courage to go after discipline with complete and total energy, because discipline in all fields does require an immense amount of willpower. An immense amount of willpower that most people don't have, unfortunately, but that all people are capable of having. There's not a single person on this planet who isn't capable of summoning the discipline necessary to free themselves from whatever it is has them in chains. So many people are chained up and bound to some sort of impulse or pleasure or desire or something that they put their happiness into. Another thing too, if you put your happiness into something, if you put your happiness into anything that outside of your sphere of control, Epictetus says this. He talks about our sphere of control. There are the few things that are inside it, which we can put our happiness and make our happiness dependent upon, and then there's everything else that's outside of that sphere of control. If your happiness depends on anything outside of that sphere of control, then you are a slave to whatever that is, or whatever multiple things that is. Inside the sphere of control lies your judgment, what you judge and how you feel about it, how you perceive it, and how you handle things. The decisions you make. How you perceive things and the decisions you make based off those perceptions. Those are the things that are within your sphere of control. Those are the things that you can put your happiness in, that you can depend on, because they are 100% in your control. Nobody could ever take those things away from you, and that is why it is okay to be happy to base your happiness on them. Anything that isn't those two things, or maybe a few other things that I'm missing that the Stoics would have put inside that sphere of control, anything outside of that, you must avoid putting your happiness into, because those things outside of your sphere of control lie in the hands of fortune, lie in the hands of the gods, lie in the hands of fate, things of which you have zero control over. You have no control over any of those things. So to put your happiness, make your happiness dependent on them would be a very risky thing to do, and once again make you a slave to them. So my friends, once again I'll say it. If you cannot summon the discipline to conquer all the things in your life that pull you this way and that way, that make you give in to impulses and desires that you don't want to give into, then you cannot be free. The only way to have freedom, the only way to possess true freedom, is to summon the discipline necessary to make your own choices, to do the things you want to do, to be able to say no to anything and everything. That is part of what defines true freedom, and that is one of the essential core, what would you call it? Essential core things that you need to possess freedom. I'm making this video because this is something that is very relevant in my life, and it's really something that a lot of people that I see around me who are struggling, if only they could summon discipline, if only they could possess that freedom that discipline gives. I hope I was able to help whoever's out there who's struggling with this or who felt the need to watch this video. I appreciate you watching. Go out there and figure out how you're going to summon the discipline to free yourself, to live the life you were truly meant to live.